Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Hey everyone, how's it going? Good to see you. It's Late Night with Cap with JT, and guess what? It's Wednesday night, and we're here to have some fun. Of course, we're going to do bad graphic design. We're going to talk about, I guess, some orcas are hunting some great white sharks out in South Africa. Thought it'd be kind of neat to talk about that, and I got a cool guest coming on board. But before I do that, I have a huge announcement. That's right, a huge announcement. Yeah, maybe it's not that huge, but it's pretty big for me. I do have a new merch store. You've probably seen me talk about it on the, what do you call it now? Is it Twitter? Is it X? Is it, I don't know. But you can check it out. It's over there on mixtees.com. You can definitely take a look. It's pretty cool. I got some tank tops over there. I even got a hat and a mug. You can get a cap. But yes, you can check that out over there. All the links are in the new description and in the banner. But I just want to give a shout out to the Pop Brothers over there for setting that up for me. I can't believe I have a really cool merch store like that. So T Public, sayonara. But yeah, it's great, and it is awesome that it's out there. So if you do want to just support some stuff, you don't have to go buy it. I'm not telling you to go buy it. Just if you want to wear the logo, and and people want to ask who it is, you can tell them. And just some weird guy on the internet that shows funny pictures. Yes. So anyways, we've got a cool guest coming out tonight. He is all the way from Alaska. That's right, Alaska. I think it's like 5:30. They have their own time zone. And his name is, of course, AlaskaManJeff. How's it going, man?
Greetings. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm super thrilled. Like we're in two of the biggest states of the US.
Yeah, you are definitely the little brother.
Like I'm in Texas.
You can fit more than 2 Texas states inside of Alaska. So I think it's Texas plus 2 times Texas plus like maybe Illinois or something.
Okay. All right. Well, like I don't know if America could handle 2 Texases. Is it a word, Texases?
Yeah. Well, we like to pretend like we are, the very big little brother of Texas, and so we always want to aspire to become Texas.
Okay. So, what would you want to do to inspire to be Texas?
Whenever Texas does something, Alaska is always ready to follow suit. If it's your politicians, they say to do something, our politicians do it. If we're going to have a certain type of business model, we want to try and imitate it. Certain type of tradition, we want to imitate it. So
you have a lot of barbecue?
We try. The weather kind of drives us indoors, though.
You don't barbecue out in the snow out there?
Well, we can. It just adds a unique flavor.
So, how do you deal with like the daytime, nighttime length? How do you deal with that? Like, is that, I've heard like, certain times of the day, it's really, or certain year, it's very bright all the time. How do you deal with that?
So that's one of the more unique aspects of the state, and one that I believe that the media gets wrong all the time. It is indeed something where we have more daylight during the summer. There's longer nights, but it's not as extreme as people like to think. Remember, Alaska is a big state. To travel from like Juneau up to the top of Alaska around Barrow, that is the same distances as like traveling from the tip of Florida to the top of Michigan. So that's a fair distance. Now, imagine what that's like for the sunlight. Down where I am in the central, it's actually pretty normal. You go up to the top of the state, that's when it gets to the extremes.
Okay. Yeah. So I think there was a movie, right? Like 30 Days of Night, where like vampires came out. And is that like more northern Alaska? Is that one?
I would guess that would probably be more central then.
Okay. All
But
right.
actually, I traveled in Scotland for a short time, and they actually had during the summer, the sun was up constantly. We don't tend to think about it, but the British Isles and southern Alaska are actually around the same latitude.
Okay.
So if you want to go to England and you think somehow Alaska is like this frozen continent, better think again.
Fake news all over the place. Okay, well that's cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and say hi to some people in the chat. Art to the Icky, my co-host over the After Weekend. He says, "How do you make a baked Alaskan? Give Jeff a edible." Yeah, get ready for the dad jokes on this.
Oh boy.
You're probably gonna hear this a lot. Yeah, they bring the dad jokes in the chat here. We also have his Mrs. R2 the Icky. Good to see you. They say hi, Jeff, and she gives you a nice little wave. Cannoli Sasquatch is here. Good to see you, man. He had a good stream the other night about the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies. I guess there's a new one coming out that maybe isn't that great. So, hopefully. And then we've got Nerdy Neo, or used to be AKA Boba Fett. He has a new name and a new logo, so there it is. Good to see you, buddy. If you can't stay, I know you said something that you couldn't stay too long. That is okay with me. Let's see here. My state sucks, but has the most population. I wonder what state he's from.
I'm guessing California.
It's the third. Would they be the third largest? Are they the third largest state?
I think they're the third largest state.
Okay, all right. Here's another joke for you. What do you call a boomerang that doesn't come back? A stick. Well, there you go. That's another one that you get.
Oh my God, that is funny.
So I told you they're coming in. They're gonna come in like that. Let's see here. We got Jacob. Jacobs is the he's our dad joke king. So a lot of people try to top him out. So we got Whitey. Good to see you, man. Usually Whitey shows up at the end of the show. Hopefully that doesn't mean the show is over. Has Jeff ever seen a brown bear battle a polar bear? That's pretty cool because we have a topic coming up about similar predators. So this is an interesting one. What do you think?
Well, brown bears typically don't encounter polar bears too often. But yeah, it's not something I'm going to get to see. And I've not seen a polar bear in the wild, but I did get to go on a trip across the tundra, and the guide had a fair-sized rifle. And he said, I have to load this thing and start shooting the bear the moment I see it, because I have to get like 2 or 3 rounds to even stop the polar bear. So
yeah. So have you heard about the polar grizzlies? Like they're like mating with polar bears?
Yes, and some people have reported to have seen them, and they think that, and the reports tend to be that they're giants.
Yeah,
so, yeah,
and they still have
critters.
Like a little bit of white and a little bit. They're kind of like a goldish color.
Yeah, they're like yeah, they're definitely a blonde sort of bear.
It's probably we're going to be overrun by bears. I was pretty north in Alaska during summer solstice once, and there was like 4 hours a night before the sun came back. Is that true? Would that be? Where would you think he would be?
That could be anywhere in the state. Honestly, it depends on what time of year. So when you're during the summer solstice and there's 4 hours, I'm guessing that's not too far north. You're probably somewhere around Juneau.
Okay.
Like right now, if I was to go outside during the solstice up here, you won't see the sun, but the sky's still lit up.
Yeah, that's a crazy thing. When I was in Alaska when I was a kid, that's what I noticed. Like the sun was kind of not there, but you saw that like twilight glow, right? That was kind of around. And I also remember a lot of mosquitoes.
Oh yeah. Depends on the year if the mosquitoes are going to be bad or not. Right now, there's no mosquitoes out there. And
really?
It's strange. Actually, there's no yellow jackets either. And normally both of them are very obnoxious. But the last 2 years, they've been strangely absent.
Huh. Yeah, because I see. I was in the middle of the summer. I went out there, and we went to like a cabin or something, and yeah, there was a ton of mosquitoes. So now you do other things other than hang out in Alaska. You do a lot of cool things. You do a lot of art and 3D animation. I'm gonna show your. I guess it's X now. What do you think about that? Do you think it should?
I actually like X.
You like X?
I actually never liked Twitter to begin with, and so a rebrand is perfectly fine with me.
Like, what is that Twitter? I don't even know what it is. But if you want to see some of his stuff, you can definitely follow him there. And I think he's also on. You are on. I think you post some of your stuff on Instagram too.
I post the artistic stuff on Instagram primarily because
Okay.
it's a little bit more friendly towards the artistic side.
Okay.
For now.
All right. So you can follow him there. I'm going to update the descriptions too. But what can you just go over to kind of what your project is you're currently doing with the 3D animation and what your goal is for that?
All right. This is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. I've been dabbling in animation, and I've never actually put my efforts into actually doing projects that were, designed to actually be anything more than a test. Right now, the type of animations I've been experimenting with has been all trying to understand the progress that one has to do to get through an animation from start to finish. I've known the basics. I've been able to do illustrations and animations for a great many clients before, but I've never actually sat down and said, I'm going to do something with a short story. So that is what has been trying to do. Yes, I have some interesting Photoshop skills as well.
Yeah. I was to say that's a pretty cool. I thought that was actually from the game. That's actually pretty neat. That's fun. So you do so Fortnite.
So all these animations are trying to go towards like actually making films one day. Short films or long films, we don't know yet, but I'm trying to get there.
Yeah, and you've posted on your Instagram. You've posted kind of like where you started. Like I've seen like your character design, where you do the wiring work of that character, how they move. I've seen you play around with his outfits. I've seen you like that scene right there where you're trying to show him shoveling snow. That looks fantastic. Now, did you just wanted to do this on your own? Or is this something you learned at school, or is this something like why did you decide to just hop into 3D animation?
I have wanted to do animation for ever since I even knew what it was. But I never actually had the ability. I went to school to learn animation, and lo and behold, they removed the animation from the education process. And so even if it was there, it was very bad. And so I learned from YouTube.
Okay, well, that's the kind of the how it is nowadays. If you want to learn a certain trade or something like to fix your house, that kind of stuff, you basically go on YouTube and fix that. So I have another image of that I want to share that I thought was kind of funny when I was going back through your timeline. What is this all about? What is going on here?
Yes. So sometimes you want to try and test a simulation, and the character rig that you have is too complex to experiment with. And so you'll just grab one of the default models and just drag it through like the snow right there. So if you were to zoom in, you'll actually see that there's actually some ice crystals that are actually like there, and it's not a traditional simulation. But I didn't know if it was going to work, and so I was getting frustrated with the simulation times of the original character. So I just threw in a little green guy, and I did it green so I could key it out if I needed to and whatnot.
That's pretty cool. So what did you learn from your test on that?
So what I learned is I didn't need to simulate it with particles. All I had to simulate was, for those who are familiar with the 3D animation softwares, I needed a cloth simulation. And then I had a hair simulation on top of it. And the hair is actually replaced with ice crystals. And then together you have a snow effect.
Okay. Well, that's pretty neat because that's good that you kind of like thought one way, but then you were able to learn from just trying it out. And sometimes that's how you learn Photoshop. That's how you learn Illustrator. You say, what does this tool do? And either goes really bad or it goes really good. I've noticed behind you do have some artwork behind you. Are those some of your works as well?
Yeah. So, well, not everything here. This one right here, you'll notice that this is kind of a collage. Let me grab it here. This is one of many photos I was trying to sell last year before the whole process kind of fell apart. But you can see that these are actually photos that I took when I was on the tundra. And of course, you're not really going to see an image like that out there. But what you end up doing is you stitch together with Photoshop, and that way it becomes one combined image.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is one of those.
Very cool.
Another thing is just outside of a frame is we have a 3D model. I've been working with 3D printing for a while. This is not my model, but it was cleaned up, and this thing will actually glow in the dark with lights on it and little laser cannons when you turn on a black light.
There's a whole community out there. I don't know if you know this, but there's a whole community out there that builds Star Wars 3D models, and they turn their whole room into like a spaceship or some cargo hole. Like Whitey Wicked's Workshop, he does that. He has a whole channel dedicated to him building things like that. They'll go to a dollar store, and he'll either make it out of things like that, like out of the dollar store, things he finds in it could be someone's trash, or they do 3D modeling. So there's other people out there. There's a whole community out there on YouTube that does that. It's pretty amazing. That's pretty cool. So not only you seem like a very talented person. That's great. I'm glad you're able to do a lot with your talents. That's pretty cool. Let's see here. Jacob says Twitter X or Twitter Now X works better with OnlyFans. Okay. Trash is gold, Whitey says. All right, very cool. Yeah, because I've seen him take all kinds of stuff and convert it into, and he'll turn it into something that looks like Star Wars. It's amazing. Yeah, or Star Trek, one of either thing, or Stargate. He's very into all that stuff. So it's very cool that he can make those things. There's hopefully you can find those on YouTube. I know there's let's see. I was on let's see. Was it let's see. There was a couple other channels on, and now they're just losing. I'm losing my. There's some tip of my tongue, and I can't say it. Maybe my mods could help me out. Black Market. No, is it Black Market Outpost? I think that's one of them. So it's just cool. It's just cool stuff they do. I'm not that type of artistic. I'm more the visual designer, logo designer, web person, web designer. UI interface. But I'm always fascinated when people that they can do things like what you just showed, like painting or like Dreaming Tabitha. She's really good at painting, right? So it always amazes me with the stuff that she can do. So here we go. Yeah, Black Market Outpost is one that you could all check out, and then we also have Rebel Base Build. So there you go. So thanks, Whitey. Appreciate that, man. So he's in this whole like Facebook community, I think, where they all get together and they like have competitions. So it's pretty cool. So now there's a segment I have on my channel where I show a product, and either you're interested in it or you're not, but I call it as seen on Cap. So, gentlemen or ladies, we're all looking forward to getting a gift for our loved ones, right? I'm sure you buy gifts for people, right, Jeff?
Yes, when I have the money.
Well, I was told what I'm about ready to show you. You can make your own because the product that is used comes from your neck of the woods, and it's everywhere, and people make all kinds of things out of it. So I've been told out there you have a lot of moose, right? You have a lot of moose in your
yes, a whole lot. I could walk down the street and find a moose after just a few minutes. Sometimes they'll come up to your window. You never know how many you're going to see.
Now these moose, they leave these little pellet-looking things, these little droppings. Yes. They're called you all up there call them moose nuggets, right?
Yes, precisely. I know where you're going with this.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I know exactly where you're going with this.
Well, apparently you can make jewelry out of these moose nuggets. So here's a necklace that you can get your significant other. You can buy earrings. You can let's see here. Here's another one where it's a keychain. There you go, moose nugget, genuine Alaskan moose nugget key ring. And he says, "Oops." So are these everywhere up there? Like,
Yes, they are absolutely everywhere.
So like if you would never run out of moose nuggets. I'm guessing, right?
Let's put it this way. If it's a dumb, gimmicky tourist item that you can just make up out of anything, Alaskans will find a way to do it. And when they see that there is moose nuggets everywhere on every hiking path, they will go out, scoop it up, and they will just make these things and think, hey, we'll give it to the stupid tourists that show up here and are willing to buy it. But then we made it a culture of it, and now suddenly everybody wants to have it.
Yeah, I saw, like I said, I saw key rings. I when I did research on this, there was like Christmas ornaments. There were necklaces. I mean, it was probably quite the industry.
It is indeed. Like I said, it is everywhere. You come up here, just go into a random shop, you will find them. Yeah, everywhere from just your street vendor to your Walmarts and everything in between.
Now, so would you say the most authentic ones would be the ones from the street vendors or from Walmart?
The most authentic ones are the ones you can get at our festivals.
Okay.
Those are the ones that are work on them for several months, like trying to make them into actual like real collector items.
Okay, all right. It seems like the one on the key ring there is a pretty nice, and it seems like sometimes they like coat it with something. Like this is like coated with some type of clear coating.
Well,
I can't tell what that is, but
you do realize that a lot of these moose nuggets are basically have the consistency of a fine powder, and so they will break apart and just pulverize and go everywhere if you don't coat them in something.
okay, all right. Well, I mean that makes sense. It is poop. So, well, there you go. That's the late night with Cap as seen on Cap segment. I wanted to share that with you. I was like, what? Most states, they have weird things like belt buckles, and here in Texas, right? Welcome signs. Up there in Alaska, you got poop. Here you go. Joker voice jumps in and says, "Hey, gents, what an amazing duo of talented humans on the show tonight." So he's Joker. You helped. I know I said this backstage. Both of us, Jeff and I, we helped create a logo together for Joker. I mostly just put the text together and the images. Jeff really did the characters, and it was fantastic the way it came out. We had some ideas we sent to Joker. He was really good about the feedback, and he came with a good product. So he sold that shirt. I think they did really well. Joker, if you could remind me what you donated the sales to, that would be fantastic. And then I think, Beard of Liberty showed. No, that's not Beard of Liberty. This is Beard of Liberty. Beard of Liberty showed up. You can say hi. How's it going? Good to see you, man. And then Miss Cannoli Sasquatch. Now I noticed you have a Sasquatch behind you.
Yes, I do.
Did you paint that?
No, that one was given by a relative.
Okay. Well, at the end of the show we do highlight Bigfoot stuff. So hopefully you got a story because you live in Alaska.
Indeed.
Let's see here. Okay. So, we have another segment. Like I said, it's called Bad Graphic Design. I guess we could classify each other as designers. And I get a kick out of seeing some bad design out there. Some of it's really bad. Some of it's on purpose. Some of it's, they didn't mean to do it. They just didn't take their time to look over it. I'm sure you've seen a lot, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've tuned into your show a couple of times. I don't always announce myself.
Oh, it's okay. Some of it's just really bad, and I'm like, why would you do this? So today we're gonna go over signs and some like signs on the wall or signs in your workplace, but signs. So here you go. Joker says the funds raised from the recent campaign top the two previous. That's pretty cool. The design raised 120 for the Stuttering Foundation of America. Keep talking. There you go.
Excellent.
So that's pretty cool. Isn't that cool? Joker, I think you should.
Good job, Joker.
That's a good shirt. You should re-release it every couple months. I think a lot of people like that shirt. It was a good one. All right. So the first sign that I'm going to go over is in a workplace. I don't know if you work for a corporate business. You don't have to say, but normally people in those environments, they'll put stuff on the wall to kind of encourage you to do things, right? So this one says, no, everything is, I'm not sure what that says. Im is impossible.
Oh, golly.
So do you think that says nothing? What
Yeah,
were
well,
they?
it's like they ran out of space, or no. This is what probably happened. They wanted to have all the letters, holding each other together. There's no back to it, so they have to have some way to hold up the impossible part, because you can't hold it just by is. And someone thought that was going to be a good idea. Not at all.
No, everything is possible. I mean, I guess that's what we're trying to say, right?
Well, everything is possible except making a good version of that sign.
Hopefully that's not in the main lobby there. Maybe that's in the back corner and they kind of can get ignored. Or maybe they could put a filing cabinet over it. What do you think?
I would just get a grinder and cut it out and then and re-weld it.
Let's see. I see what they were going for, but that is terrible. Okay, all right. So what were they going for? I want to know your guess, Beard of Liberty. Let's see here. Beard of Liberty, that's weird. I came in on the poop contents and was caught off guard. Yeah. You never know what you're gonna get when you get on with a bad graphics line or Late Night with Cap. You can come in the middle of the stream and see poop, which is what we did. Let's see here. I'm trying to wait to see if Beard Livy can tell us what they were thinking about, but yeah, I think he's typing. So the next one is a pretty funny sign. Oh, here goes. Me fail English. That's impossible. Okay. All right. Well. So the next sign is again on a building, and this is for a school, and their expertise is buildings. So this says the oolage of architectural and planning.
What's terrible is I've done this before.
Yes, we have all probably done this before, and it's a common mistake. You do it on posters when you're even writing with a marker, but this one I think you probably should have been more accurate on. What do you think?
Yeah, here's the big part that I've learned over the years. Start at the edges, then put the middle letter up, and then start having it, and that will help you to space it out. And do not weld it until you have them all in place.
That's a good tip. So you said let's start from the edge and then put it in the middle.
Start from the edges, and then you figure out what the middle letter is, and then you just keep going to the middle of that of each one. So you're making a fractal, you could say. We do the same process when we're animating, actually. You do the first animation and you do the end animation. And then you do the one in between, and you just keep doing halves of each one until finally it's smooth.
When your college is from wish.com.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's this was actually submitted from Danny from Comics and Cosmetics last stream. She was on here last stream. She submitted this one. She got a kick out of it. Jacob says, no, everything is impossible. Now live in despair. Good job. Yeah, looks like they didn't plan on running out of room. I can't tell what they did. It's like they just completely, it's like they knew what they were doing and they're like, oh, we left the C out. It's like, you know what they could have done? They could have started from the G, right? And gone backwards. Maybe they did that way.
Quite possibly. There are some countries where this is like a massive problem. I know we see it right here and it's like, oh, wow, that's crazy. It's ridiculous that they let that slide. If you go over to like some places in the Far East, this is commonplace and they just work with it. Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've seen some bad stuff from other countries and I would agree. Yeah, it is what it is. So at least they put the C on there and they just didn't leave it. The next one is for a business, or not really a business. It's more of a doctor's office. And they really wanted you to know what they were doing in that office. This is for Valley Dental. And we'll see if you can find the weirdness of the image there.
Now, here's the thing. My first inclination when I see that, I see a guy being smacked off his feet.
You see a lot of things here, right? You.
Yeah, but that's the very first one that pops into my head.
Yeah,
It's
you
like,
either go.
If you ever seen like those healing things where they go up and whack people, this is what it reminds me of.
Yeah, I thought it was Valley Dental, from 1852, and then this is what you get. But yeah, it's a very interesting icon there for the dentist. I'm not sure if the dentist sits between you like that. I hope not. That's more like a gynecologist, not a dentist. But hey, I appreciate the plus sign there, though.
Oh, that's a little smack icon that appears from when he got hit.
Oh, you're talking about like the little pow. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
I grew up on like the old Batman TV show, and so I'm used to seeing
Uh-oh.
that
Yeah,
on like graphics and whatnot.
Don't give too much praise to Batman. Joker voice will come after you.
Oh no.
Yeah, that was interesting. So you find stuff like this all the time. People just don't think, they don't step back and look, and yeah, sometimes they should. But the next one, this one is basically telling you that you're in the wrong place. Yep, Wong Fook In Bookstore.
That's unique.
You are in it. Yeah.
Oh golly.
Sorry, did I make you speechless? I love it. I love when I make people speechless.
Yeah, I can read Chinese, and so I'm just kind of looking through the text that's below it and trying to make heads or tails of it.
Wait, so you can read Chinese, really?
A little bit. I took
Okay.
2 years of it, and I read it better than I can speak it.
Okay, all
But
right.
yeah, so I lived in Japan for a short time as well, and so I remember seeing stores like this of where it's like packed up to the brim, and they have terrible translations out front. It is absolutely awful, and it's like they never, kind of like with some of the other folks, it's like when they design something, they never verify, is this a good direction to go? They never get a second opinion or a translator.
So what do you think they were trying to say here?
Well, that's a very good question. I'm guessing the first part is someone's name.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I'm guessing that has to primarily do with someone's name that they thought they were going to translate. Because there's a lot of names over there that are actually wildly offensive when you translate it to English.
Yes, they are. And us Americans, we're just, we're all about
America! Yeah!
So we're out of line sometimes. So but I thought this was funny. Let's see. R2 says, "Me Chinese, me play joke, me put pee-pee in your Coke." Why? This is from the dentist one. You anti-dentite. Do you remember that from Seinfeld? Do you ever watch Seinfeld?
I have not. Actually, interesting little thing. I was shown Seinfeld twice. And that was when I was at college in a class where the professor was trying to give us examples of how not to make a TV show.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, that's my only introduction to it, is the professor showing us the whole episode and saying, this is how you tear it apart and whatnot. So
yeah, it was a show about nothing. That was great. So according to Google Translate, oh, cool, Beard. That is pretty accurate. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess it works. I guess it's let's see here. Let's see. Wrong is a Fukin bookstore. Yeah. So you could go with a lot of things like this, but there you go. There's bad graphic design. Good. Always a fun time to laugh at that kind of stuff. My favorite though, I always love it when my guests are speechless, and I think I got you on a few of those. So. Let's see here. Let's see. I'm just make sure anybody else hasn't put anything else in the chat, and we'll go from there. So, now one other thing you mentioned too in Alaska, I think you mentioned to me on a Twitter post or something. You said you don't have spiders.
We have very few spiders. The things that kill you are big, and you can see them coming a mile away.
Right, you said don't be afraid of our little spiders. We've got other things like moose because moose can kill you, right?
Oh yeah. Actually, it's been a couple times where we're walking and someone comes back and saying, "Hey, turn around. There's a moose on this path." Because we have been on the area when like someone was just rushed off to the hospital because he got trampled.
Oh wow! Would you be more afraid of a grizzly, a polar bear, or a moose?
Polar bear.
Okay.
No competition there. A grizzly is too concerned about wanting to go eat fish, and a moose, for the most part, doesn't care that you're there.
Okay.
Just don't go messing with them and try and go up and take photos with them like tourists do.
Yeah. I don't understand why they do that. It happens out here, I'm sure it happens out here in Texas too. But in Arizona, people would try to take pictures of all kinds of crazy stuff, like rattlesnakes. I'm like, why are you trying to take a picture of a rattlesnake? I don't understand that. I literally was just going to do this to.
So,
All right. So, how about snakes? Do you have snakes in Alaska?
No snakes.
All right. Well, for this Caps freak out, you'll never see this then. So, this is a video of a black widow literally trying to attack a snake.
Oh no. Wow, that's
And
one
this is-
ambitious spider.
And this is in Texas. So this is probably not too far from where I live. And yeah, she's just kind of, I'm just gonna sit here and gnaw on you because you're in my web. That's a pretty big black widow.
I'm really impressed because I've seen like when snakes can thrash about and just kind of get
Mhm.
themselves away from areas. I'm amazed that web is still holding up.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you have a lot of black widows where you are, but
No black widows.
their webs are really strong, like really sticky, really strong. Like you could brush them along. Most webs you could need sweep away with your broom, right? And they kind of disintegrate. Theirs, it's literally like a string. Like it's very almost like the web like Spider-Man would use. It's really R2 has a really tiny snake. That was a decent sized snake. Yeah, and the widow was huge. Like I found one the other day, and they can be. I mean, good size. I mean, I'm sure the camera zoomed up, made it a little bit bigger, but it was on a tire. Do I need to bring it back up, folks? It was like a tire. Like, hold on, I'm gonna bring it back up. I'm gonna show you. It was a tire. It was on a tire. Yeah, Rick's always the one coming in here telling me about reptiles. So let's bring it back up. I'm gonna bring it back. I accidentally closed it, but we're gonna bring it back up and we can analyze it. But I mean, it's a pretty decent. That's a decent sized snake, I would say. What do you think?
Well, I don't know what the average size of snakes are to spiders. I'm not around them enough to be able to tell.
Okay, well, Rick says proportionally, black widow silk is the strongest steel. Okay, that's cool. I've seen bigger black widows in the hood. Okay, all right. Well, he's just gonna. All right, good to know that. Well, I didn't know that. That amazes me when I see creatures like that you don't think attack each other do, and that is a good segue into our main topic, which is super predator, and it's orcas. Orcas are hunting. Orca hunts great white. Like it's been Shark Week or Shark Month. I think I can't remember what it is. Is it week or month? I can't remember.
It's
anymore.
week, I believe.
Well,
I don't have cable anymore.
Yeah, on streaming services, you've got like all kinds of weeks. So I think it's Shark Week. Basically, I was watching a few shows, and I may have heard about this, where like there are there's the orcas are they love the taste of great white sharks for some reason, and they love a certain part of that great white shark, and we'll get into it, but they are basically hunting. There's great whites are hunting great white, or no, sorry, the killer whales or orcas. And now you've seen orcas, right, in Alaska?
Oh yeah, several.
Yeah, there's a lot out there. They kind of run in packs, right? They're like dolphins. I think they're like
Depends
the biggest.
it depends on the orca. Some of them are lone predators, though. those are actually the dangerous ones. The ones that hunt in packs, those are the ones that you can like go around with no problem. But transient ones, which I believe are the ones that are the solo ones, those are the ones you got to keep an eye out for.
The loners,
those are the ones that get the nickname Sea Wolf.
Yeah, and like I said, when they kind of remind me like either a dog or a cat, right? They either travel around in a pack and they do sound and they go, okay, we're going over here. Or the lone ones that you're talking about, they kind of do their own thing. But they normally in Alaska, they normally eat what? Seals, birds, probably.
They will
fish.
Eat everything.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I've seen videos where they even attack boats, or I don't know if they're
Yep.
playing with it. They're just like, what's this? Like a cat does that kind of stuff, right? Cats
learn people throw fish over the edge so that the whales will stop. So it's been trained, unfortunately.
Yeah, and yes, and they're already saying this in the chat. Orcas are the largest species of porpoise, dolphins, porpoise. Yes, and they're pretty gnarly. They're pretty apex. No one, everyone sees them as Shamu, right? Oh, they're jumping through hoops. No one really thinks of them as this like vicious creature. They think of the great white shark as a vicious predator, right? Well, apparently, so in August 21st of 2022, this doctor here, lady, she found she's down there in South Africa, and her name is Alison Towner, sorry, and she found this great white shark it just washed up on the shore, and it's literally slashed open, like almost like a serial killer. Like it left and they're like, what could have done this? I mean, you could look at that gash. That's pretty gnarly.
Mm-hmm.
Like she said, she wasn't sure like when it happened, what happened, but she did notice two or three killer whales, orcas, out in the distance right after this washed up on the shore. So she was thinking maybe that happened. And so she did a lot of research. She's done a lot of research. You've probably seen her on Discovery Channel. You've probably seen her. She does a lot of shows about great whites. She does a lot of shows about marine life in general. But she was out there, and apparently she said they like the taste of their livers, their hearts, and that's what was missing. So like when I think of that, other animals who do that, like my cat, if they get a lizard, they don't eat the whole lizard. They eat like a little bit and they like leave the rest of it because they're like, oh, I'm done with this, and they move on to the next thing. They don't really eat to eat, right? They don't really eat to survive. They just eat to play. So I'm wondering if that's what the orcas are doing. They're just kind of messing around with these sharks, and they just have the delicacy of the liver. I mean, that's pretty vicious. What do you? I don't know what I would do if I found this on the beach. So,
well, most likely I would just take a photo with it, post it on to Twitter, and move on. And it's like, hell, no, bringing this shark back.
Yeah, that's what she did. She did post it on Facebook. It was there. A lot of people were very interested in what happened. It was a female shark, and it's just crazy to think. So basically what they're finding out is, yes, some in this around Cape Town, South Africa, this is where this event happened. The killer whales kind of are starting to migrate over here, and the great whites are starting to kind of go other ways. They're used to, I mean, South Africa was known for great whites. I mean, people went down there to videotape them jumping out of the water. People would study them down there. And now all those people are saying they're leaving. As you can see, I don't know. I know it's a little small there, but the orca can be up to 26 feet. A great white can be up to 21. They're about the same max speed, but they live, orcas, obviously, looks like they live about 30 years longer, 100 to 70 years. And they weigh about almost half the size of a great white. That's pretty intense. So they would be bigger. They would be able to take down a great white shark. And that would, I don't know, like if what would you think if you saw like these two fighting in the water? Would you?
I would pity the shark first and foremost. The killer whales are wicked smart.
Yes. that's why they had them at SeaWorld, because they were able to train them and do certain tricks and stuff. So it's crazy.
Their diet also changes.
Okay.
And they will actually teach each other how to hunt in new ways. As I understand now, I don't know like if there's any way to like verify this, but apparently there's been an increase in orcas hunting great whites because they seem to be teaching it to more orcas.
And that's exactly what that Allison Towner mentioned, that they are noticing that they're coming. They're more. You're going to see more orcas in South Africa than great whites now, because there is a good population of, I believe, other marine life out there. I think there are some sea lions out there as well that obviously they hunt in Alaska, so why not, right? And like they're both pretty fast. That's pretty cool. Now, Joker kind of mentioned in the chat, but what they do is, and they've been studying this since they found these sharks going missing since I think 2017. What they do is, so this is what the two pair orcas have done. They said they've seen two of them. So what they do is they either come up behind it like this, and they flip them over, because when you flip a shark over, it kind of goes to sleep. So they know to do that, which is weird, right? And then they do what you saw that example of, where they slice open with their teeth and basically suck out their livers, hearts, whatever the delicacies that they intend to eat, and then they leave the rest. So, I mean, that's a pretty good remover right there, right? That's a pack type of. Yeah. Like, it makes me think of like what do you call it? Like velociraptors, right? When we saw Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah.
Like where they were basically coming in, and one would come from one angle, and then you wouldn't know the other one was behind you. I mean, it seems like they're doing the same thing.
They're incredibly intelligent, and if you've ever watched them, they are very much like a combination of cats and dogs. They love to play like cats. They love to play with their food as a way to learn hunting. But they're also incredibly territorial, and they will group together. And for the most part, their coordination is some of the best that you will find in the animal kingdom. They will have one out in the open to kind of have like a predator, like a shark, keeping an eye on. Then the other one will, like that, come from underneath, and it's all over.
Yeah. So
imagine these creatures are learning this. And they're not really being taught. They're just like, hey, I wonder what would happen if I knock this shark over. That's actually going through their brain.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing, because that's what they adapt, right? They adapt to whatever they're trying to do. I mean, that's a lot of the species who do other things in the world, like even us, we adapted. So they're doing the same thing. Now there was a drone footage of this actually happening.
Ooh.
So I'm going to share that too. It's a very short video, so YouTube, please don't get mad at me. So this is from Jaws, from the let me see if I can play it here. Hold on, having issues. That's great. Video. So the orcas are circling, if you see that, and then there's the great white in the middle. So, and they already sliced them open, so he's kind of bleeding there. So see the other orca there that came from underneath, and there's the shark. So, but yeah, it was
sushi is served.
Yeah, and they're just kind of still playing with it, like you said, like a cat. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Now, I would rather have them hunting the sharks than some of the other creatures they will hunt. For those that are familiar, they will hunt actually fair-sized whales. And it has caused quite a bit of a problem, actually, in some areas. Orcas, I think that because they're an apex predator, they kind of don't know when to stop at times. And so hopefully they will dispose of the shark problem and leave some of the other parts of the ocean alone for a while to recover.
And as I was researching, there are two sharks in Alaska that are out there. There's the sleeper shark, that lives like way down in the depths of the ocean. Very, you know, I think it's almost like kind of blind. And if you think that I've heard, and then there's the cousin, or I guess the relative of a great white. It's smaller. I can't remember the name of that one, but that one
Salmon shark.
Salmon shark. There you go. Yeah. So do you ever hear of any of this happening with those sharks, with orcas?
I've not really heard about it, but then again, Alaskans aren't really watching for this as much. They're more interested about where salmon are going, and sometimes they'll see the sharks. But the thing is that if salmon are going around, orcas, they have their choice of so many types of food out there. They can eat the sharks if they so desire, but they're not as big as a great white. So obviously, there's probably not going to be as much for them to eat. They really do like eating seals. So chances are they're going to be going after the seals first and foremost. Second off, they're probably going after the salmon.
Yeah.
And then when all else fails, they'll go after a halibut, and then they'll go to the shark.
Yeah. An animal that big probably eats a lot, has to consume a ton of calories. So I'm sure that. So Joker, it says in the chat, the name killer whale is actually backwards. They were originally named whale killers. Okay, all right, very cool. That's interesting. I mean, they like you said. So this is that scientist again. She basically kind of outlines what she saw here in a couple quotes, and I wanted to read these over to you. There were killer whale tooth impressions on the pectoral fins of the sharks, and their livers were removed so neatly. I like how she says neatly. It would take coordination of a large, sophisticated animal to tear a white shark open and do this. So that it's like almost like a surgeon opened them up. Also, each time a dead shark washed out, there had been sightings of killer whales in the area. So a lot of all the evidence pointed to killer whale, and also confirmed by killer whale biologists. So there was that. And then she also quoted. She said it's surprisingly it's a surprisingly clean tear and varies in size, but usually spans around the width between the pec fins. Towner wrote in another comment under the post. So she posted this on Facebook. Often the heart is missing too, as it is closely connected to the liver. The last white shark where looks like they had a fresh seal in its stomach. That's pretty nice. Maybe they got 2 meals. What we seem to be witnessing through a large scale avoidance rather than a fine scale strategy, mirroring what we see used by wild dogs in the Serengeti. So that's pretty. So like, and there you go. They're like you just said they like in earlier you said the dog of the sea, like the right there. And so the sharks are leaving the area because they're more and more orcas are coming here because they're, like you said, they're learning how to eat these things, and the great whites are like, I'm out. No more. I don't want to be here to do that. So
actually, there's an area along the West Coast where this happened a couple of years ago. It was the first time that a great white had been filmed being attacked and eaten by an orca. First time. And they noticed immediately, once the blood was basically in the water, all the other sharks vacated for the season. And it took like 2-3 years for them to start coming back. Despite how dumb great whites can look, they know when orcas are in the area and they will leave.
Yeah, they're smart too. They're just as smart. They do cool things as well, these great whites. Like they can adjust their own body temperature no matter where they are, so they can go super fast or appear out of nowhere. So
I'm curious where the sharks are going to end up, because these sharks have been displaced. Where else are they going to go?
So that's a great question. And so some of the stuff I was watching, they were either moving to around New Zealand, they're going to around Australia. And if you notice, there's been some incidences in those areas with their sea lion population being eaten by the sharks.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have seen them in Massachusetts. Some people have seen them more of on the east coast of the United States. They obviously won't go to Alaska. That's because that's where all the orcas really live. So they won't go there. But here's another event that happened just this year. So I wanted to show you this. This is still pretty current. So this happened last month in 2023, and this was another dead shark that washed up on another bay over there. Again, after it washed up, there were 2 orcas in the area. And there was another researcher that found this one, and he basically said some of the shark victims were discovered washed ashore, and their livers missing. So again, the same thing that Towner has said. Now he's been studying this for a while. So on June 19th was when he found the shark. Even more so than the previous times, it was almost as if they put a different kind of effort into it. Before, it almost looks like the shark was pushed gently. However, yesterday, the people on the boat who witnessed the attack described that the shark breached out of the water almost as if it was trying to get away. So there you go. So you said they know they're there. I'm out of here. I'm leaving. I got to jump. And then basically then the orcas pushed them further, and it lasted a few minutes, and the shark was being dragged around in the mouth. So it seemed like a different type of kill. So it's like the orcas like, you're not going anywhere. Come here, right? So
for those that are familiar with them, I would be very curious to know what the hydrophones are picking up.
Yeah.
Because for those who know, even all these creatures actually make sounds underneath the water. And so I wonder if there's like a sound that the shark lets out to like tell the others, hey, we got danger here. Or maybe the orcas are like going silent when they are in hunt mode. I'd be very curious to know what that is.
Yeah, me too. Because if you ever hear whales, they're always clicking and making all kinds of different sounds.
There's sounds also that we are not even familiar with it.
Yeah.
Like, I heard like tuna will give a rumbling sound. It's a very specific, iconic sound that they're making deep inside themselves that you can only hear with a hydrophone turned up like to the max. And they said this is basically what the ocean sounds like. And it sounded, if you were to take clicks, rumbles, and pop sounds, it sounded like if you just replace that with birds, you would have thought you were in a forest. They were everywhere. So I'd be very curious to know what it would sound like.
Yeah, because like when you're out in the forest and you hear like a screech, right? That or like a bird screech, that's usually a hawk. And most animals know, or mammals, the little mammals, they'll be like, oh, there's a hawk. I'm gonna hide. Or an owl, right? The mouse will know there's an owl. So maybe it's the same thing. Who knows? So the same Janari said that the shark nets in the area kill between 25 to 30 great whites a year. So that we have their own problems with that, where maybe 2 orcas don't even kill half as many over a 12-month period. So they're taking out a good chunk, I would say. I mean, between all us with the nets and then these evil orcas. And it says port and starboard first gained attention of the Western Cape of South Africa in 2015. This is when it became clear that the pair were reasonable for the deaths of several broad-nosed 7-gill sharks discovered by scuba divers. So they were after a different type of shark first. And I think Rick R2 mentioned that earlier in the chat. However, they did not stop there. Between 2017 and 19, the orcas started turning their sights on great whites. So it's been happening in this area almost a good amount of time. So almost like 10 years. So the orcas' presence in the local waters have even caused the great white populations to disperse in certain areas. False Bay between Cape Point and Cape Hengclip used to be a hot spot for endangered species, but since 2017, great whites have all but disappeared from the area. So that's crazy. We hear about all kinds of like invasive species, right, coming from boats or shipping, right? There's all kinds of things that happen. Like there's a shrimp somewhere, I think, in the Gulf of Mexico that's causing havoc. That's maybe doing the same thing, but it's amazing how our world works. We don't even think about these on a daily basis. Like these are just 2 orcas coming into a new area, and they're completely causing havoc in the marine life as they know it down there. That's pretty wild. Pretty fascinating story. Biggles says orcs F sharks up. I love it. Yeah. So okay. So if you were gonna have I guess if they were gonna have a battle, like we mentioned before, a grizzly or a polar bear, which one would you rather, a orca or a great white?
Well, without a doubt, the orca is going to win every single time. Actually, it's interesting. I remember hearing that orcas will also remove predators if there are calves in the area. And so if an orca senses that there's a threat to maybe one of their young, they might go on a killing rampage. I don't know for this scenario, but I do know that has happened in other parts of the world.
I mean,
actually, I have seen 2 orca infants before. I was actually up here in Alaska, and they were actually trailing the boat. They were staying out of sight, and they just said, "Hey, folks, just so you know, the sonar's acting weird. We might have some orcas immediately below us." And so we go out and we're looking around, like where are these orcas? We're waiting for them to come up for breath, and they're refusing to do so. They were under there for a long time. I look over the edge. I see this little tiny orca, one that you literally could hold it in your arms. It was that small. Just comes up, takes a quick breath, and goes back under. And it's quite fascinating creatures. I have seen many times since then. But yeah, they are creatures where they do like safe areas for their young, and then they go out into the world and wreak their havoc. Then they come back to a nice sheltered area and yeah,
hang out. Yeah, like I have seen videos where orcas have flipped over boats, like little boats of sailboats. I don't know where though, but I have seen videos of that happening. So they're messing with all kinds of stuff out there. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they do this all the time. We just didn't know it.
Well, I do know again that their behaviors will change, and I'm just glad they've not gotten a taste for people yet.
Yeah. Bagels even said that they come on land. I'm worried right now. I'm not. So
they do come on land. Have you not seen Patagonia? The seals think they're safe, and the orca comes out of nowhere, grabs them, and pulls them into the water.
You know what? You are right. I do remember seeing something like that where they kind of waddle up on shore and whatever they need.
They come up with a wave. You have no idea it's there, and suddenly you see these jaws just open up, grab, and then pull back, and they will just move across the sand like it's nothing.
Yeah, there's Jacob says there's a movie that came out not too long after Jaws about a crazy orca. I'm sure there was. Let's see, Biggles. I mean, if someone tries to be a danger to your young, I think eliminating the threat makes sense. It does make sense. We're all looking out for our young ones. Biggles says he doesn't go anywhere near the ocean. Well, that's a fascinating story. That I'm glad we were able to talk about it, and you were able to share your insight about those 2 species. It's just a fascinating thing that's happening in the world. We're so caught up with all the other crazy stuff, right, that we sometimes miss this type of thing, these type of stories, and that's why I like to do this stuff. I know it's not the norm, so we're not here complaining about some TV show. We're here talking about cool stuff, and
brings people back to reality.
It does. Yeah, you are absolutely right. So now, like I said, you have a Bigfoot picture behind you. And on the end of the show, we're about ready to wrap it up. We do a Bigfoot segment, and we'll see what we got here. So tell me about the Bigfoot poster behind you. What is that all about?
So Alaska, like other states, has had their reports. And relative got it for me because they thought it was clever and that I would appreciate it, because I am someone that definitely has a very strong belief that these things are out there. Okay. But I look at as an animal rather than the monster that many times Hollywood wants us to see it as. Helping to cut through the the mythology of it and trying to look for the animal itself.
Okay. So do you believe in Bigfoot?
Yeah,
Okay, very
I
cool.
believe I may have even seen one once.
Really?
It
Okay.
was a very strange circumstance.
Do you care? Do you mind sharing?
It is a story I've actually mentioned before to some folks. And here's the here's the thing. It was in the Rockies, and it was middle of the night. We were around the campfire, and I was mid-teen. I was bored, and I walked away from the campfire because there wasn't any conversation I could really join in on. And I have a flashlight with me, a powerful flashlight, actually. And I'm looking out down to this little valley between the two mountains that we're on. And I see some yellow eyes. I think that's unique. I thought for certain. Now, here's the thing. Just so you know, I didn't even know that there was such a creature as a Bigfoot back at this time. Only thing I was looking for, cougars.
Well,
because I had always wanted to see a mountain lion because I thought they were fascinating creatures. And I knew what a bear looked like. And so I was on the hunt for mountain lion. So I'm just looking at from this ridge line, shining the light, and is looking out of this bush. And I turned back around and say, I think I see a mountain lion. I look back and the eyes are gone. And so I was like, okay, well, there goes my chance of getting to see it. And it's like the moment you look away, that's when it happens. Well, time passes, and we hear something strange is coming up along the ridge.
wow.
Now, there's a kind of like a T shape to the ridge line. We were on the tail end that would have been going down. Well, so whatever it was coming up around the road, and you're like, there's something out there. It is very black out there, and the fire is not helping the matter. And I'm like, folks, there's something here. There's something moving around. And my immediate inclination is that's not a mountain lion. That's a bear. It is big. But then it yelled. And that was the thing that made me think, hokey smokes, we got something entirely different here.
You actually heard a yell, huh?
It went running by the camp, pounding. Wow. It was like pistons. And that was when I was like, that's not a bear. And it went down the mountain. And again, always our eyes are following it as it's going by. But the thing is, we can't see it. It's too dark. But we know where it is from the sound.
Because you can hear it. Okay.
Just goes down to the wilderness, disappears.
And this was in Alaska?
This was in the Rockies.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it was, it was indeed strange to us at the time. And again, at the time, I had no idea what a Bigfoot even was. And again, I like looking through the mythology of things. Mm-hmm. And so then I went into a deep dive of what incarnations was that thing. I didn't have the internet at the time. I was not allowed to really use the internet as a kid. So I just kept thinking, okay, what is this? I just left it up to like, I have no idea. Years later, I heard people joking about, oh yeah, all those crazy people that see Bigfoot. It's like, wait a minute, you're saying crazy? Yeah, is that what you're saying? And so the thing is that could it have been another animal? I highly doubt it. But I also know that sometimes when you hear a creature roar, well, it was more like a roaring scream, you're left with a bit of, you're just left a bit baffled by it. So is this something I'm going to get on a stage and testify? Like, yes, I saw it. Well, honestly, I would. But the thing is that there's no benefit to it. I'd rather find the creature wisely and with some, intelligence. And so until then, I keep things like this thing up there because it's like a reminder, like, hey, you know what? There's something out there. We don't necessarily have to.
You saw something.
But I have encountered something that makes me, and I not a superstitious person. And so I can only look at it as like, there's mysteries in this world we don't understand. We didn't know that orcas hunted sharks until more recently. We
True,
only
very
just discovered the giant squid.
Yeah.
I remember growing up. You probably remember this when we were in like middle school or high school, and they're saying that the
Gone.
squid is mythology.
Yep.
That's just those sailors telling tall tales, and then the Japanese find it, and you're like, oh well, the Japanese are lying. And then another picture comes out. I was like, okay, fine, this thing exists. You know what? The colossal squid probably exists too. Was
Maybe,
it? Yes.
Yeah. Well,
Through the mythology to find the animal behind it, and sometimes it's less impressive than you think.
yeah. Yep. Jacob brings up a good point here. He says, if anyone was curious, generally mountain lions and bears have eye shine in yellow to red range. Deer and elk eye shine is white, yeah, but moose eye shine tends to be red. Rabbits and I think pecas have red. So, I mean, if it is an animal, like you said you saw yellowish eyes, so maybe it has the same type of shine.
That's why I thought it was a cougar at first, because I knew how to identify animals. I spent most of my time around animals, or at least out in the wilderness, and so I knew what I was looking for. I just didn't expect what I saw.
Yeah, I guess mountain lions and foxes scream. Yeah, they do. Foxes have a really sort of rabbits when they're dying. It's like a horrible, horrible sound.
But believe me, the reverberating sound
of the thumping,
it was unnerving, but it was the piston motion of its legs. That's the thing.
Really?
That really.
So it was like it was kind of like
to freeze up
like that.
It was a piston. Now, the only time I've ever heard that piston motion is a moose running.
Really?
But this one had two legs, because you can hear the moose when both legs go down.
Yeah, they probably run
so
like
it's like,
horse,
okay, you can count the number of feet, and so like, what is this? Is this a two-legged moose going by? And again, I had no idea what to even think of it at the time.
Maybe it was Bullwinkle on.
Bullwinkle. There we go.
Did you go out? Did you immediately leave this area, or did you like stay the night and then go over there in the morning and kind of find out what
we went into our lodges immediately? Like, okay, so that's time to go inside. And we go inside. I grabbed the axe. Like, it's going to do me any good as a teenager, but I grab an axe as I'm going to the and I just can't go to sleep. I was next to the window. I kept looking out the window. I was like, I wanted it to appear again, so I actually could have like verification on what had happened, but it didn't. And here's the tough part: there was no like evidence afterwards.
So you went back in the morning, and there was nothing.
Yeah, I was looking around. There was no footprints. But here's the thing: it was a dry. It was dry. It hadn't been raining or anything. There's a lot of gravel around, and so it wasn't like it was going to leave any noticeable impression, especially for someone who wasn't like knew what to look for. It's like I got no idea what sort of footprints, how to be able to tell an impression when you got a bunch of pebbles out there. Because it's not sand, you can tell. You put a footprint in sand, you see the shape. But if you have stones that are about that size and dry dirt, it's not leaving an imprint.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, I've had a Bigfoot stream where we literally have a panel of people bring on their theories. I always ask every guest, every show, what they feel. Some people don't believe in it. Some people do. Some people have stories. Like Danny had a story last week, which is so back-to-back stories. That's pretty great. I believe in Bigfoot. People are seeing something. They're seeing. I mean, not everyone's a fraud and everyone's a liar. So
I think the real question, what do you think about it?
Yeah, well, I'm like you. I think there's something there. People tend to embellish some of their stories, right? But when you talk to real people like you, you honestly believe you saw something and you think that's what it was. And to me, that says, okay, well, it had to be a Bigfoot, right? Because what else could it have been? Because you had good reasons for why it wasn't a moose, maybe why it wasn't a mountain lion or something like that. Now, when you see videos, and that's why sometimes I show some of the videos, they're kind of bogus, right? You can tell they're kind of maybe fake. but when you actually hear someone tell a real story about what they saw, it makes me wonder even more, like what is out there. Is it I believe there's something out there. There has to be, because like we said earlier, we didn't know orcas went after sharks, right? We didn't know that squid existed. So anything's possible. There's part of this world we haven't really discovered, to be honest, and it could be in that corner, hiding from us.
It's interesting that there are, like, I remember like conveying to some folks about like that story years ago, and that's why I realized it wasn't like culturally acceptable to mention that.
Well, you're accepted here.
Yeah, but the thing is that after like telling the story, it's like, yeah, I don't know what it is. But the thing is that they already knew that I was someone who thought very logically in many ways. And so they're like, well, okay, well, we don't know what to make of this. We don't know if maybe you're just hallucinating. Well, no, maybe not. So you're just a kid that was curious and just standing around campfire. But the thing
that's interesting. You were a kid, because Danny last show, she was also a kid when she saw it. So you know how they say like kids tend to see things a little different than when we were an adult, right?
Until an adult tells you years later,
yeah,
I thought I was seeing things. And then it's like, aha, I wasn't crazy. You were silent this whole time.
Exactly.
Yes.
So like more adults, when adults see something, they're afraid of that embarrassment, right? It happens. Kids, they're open to anything. Anything is possible for them. And they, just like that sign, they see things in a different view. So maybe it makes sense that you saw it as a kid. Danny saw it as a kid. That's why you saw it.
Here's the interesting thing as well. That wasn't the only time.
Oh no.
And so,
okay, folks, this show might go a little extra.
No, I won't necessarily go into the second one, but let me just say, the first one is when curiosity was sparked. The second one is when I was actually terrified. But that one is too strange for me to even really fully comprehend. But It was something, again, where I could not see it, but whatever it was mere feet from me. And this was actually on the East Coast.
Okay.
It grabbed a wall of kudzu and started shaking it. I was with other folks, and we ended up running from it back to the light of the campfire. The thing kept up with us easily, and again, we started hearing that piston sound.
So that's a common sound that you think they make when they run, like a.
Yes, it was loud, and that's the thing. I get skeptical when I hear people say that. Oh, I couldn't hear it; it was running silently. I was like, that much weight.
Yeah, I mean, they're saying these things are like, 9 feet tall.
Yeah, some think they even get up to 12 feet. That's some of the reports that come from Alaska. But the thing is that whatever it was that chased us that night, which was years later, left. That one was the one where I realized this thing's not friendly. This thing is not friendly, because the whole time it's like grunting, and no one believed us. No one believed us at this point. And we went.
You in like you said you're on the East Coast. What woodland area were you in on the East Coast?
It was southern Tennessee.
Okay,
interestingly enough, as you probably know, Daniel Boone supposedly shot a creature nearby there that matched the description.
Yeah, one of the highest sightings is in Washington, and also in that area, the Kentucky bluegrass, Tennessee area. Danny, she was in. I think she said she was in Missouri, so that makes sense. I mean, so. What happened? So, just to continue on, the chat is very intrigued on what you have to say here.
So we got back to the campfire, and the three kids were trying to convey like something's chasing us. We're pointing at the wall of kudzu, which came to an end, and whatever it was decided just didn't want to follow it into the light. again, intelligent creature. We had all been out as a group because this was with the Boy Scouts. We had all been over at an area, and we knew we were the last group to come back. And so it waited until we were the last ones there, and then that's when it decided to make itself known. We went to bed that night, and again, I'm starting to have like deja vu moments.
How far
we wake
apart
up in the
were
morning.
these two events?
I think it was 3 years.
Okay.
Maybe between 2 to 3 years, something like that.
Okay.
But the leaders wake up and they come to each of the tents and say, "Don't come out yet." And we're like, "Why is this a problem?" I'm trying to look out of the zipper, like trying to see what's going on, and they're looking at the food that we had, which is all in a cooler. And they're just like talking among themselves and just stumped. They're scratching their heads and looking around, and found out that something had come into the camp that night and had taken the food.
Okay.
Broke the lock on it, and it's like, wow,
Not a bear.
Well, no idea. We have no idea. The only bit of evidence we had was that 3 kids were chased by some creature along a path with a wall of kudzu on one side. Which you all know kudzu is everywhere, which is so frustrating. It's like, I wish that we could have actually seen through it. But the thing was that he was toying with us. It was like shaking it and toying with us. So
maybe I knew you were kids and was just,
yeah, probably. But the thing is that if you've ever seen animals, in particular apes or monkeys, they love to toy with things. They don't even want to do anything. They just want to go up and see what your reaction is going to be. Which makes me think, again, cut through the mythology. Oh, it's this demon thing that's coming after us. No, it's just an animal. It's behaving like an animal. But it is intelligent, and so you don't want to underestimate it. But
so Tabitha has an interesting question for you. Do you have any PTSD from this experience?
No. I think the people that do, I start to get more skeptical about their mental well-being, which makes me think that their stories get exaggerated. The only it's to the point where I think I want to actually like find the means of like how to find one of these things, because I kind of want to help people look past the superstition behind it. It's like,
yeah, I mean, there's TV shows, there's all kinds of stuff. I don't know if they're really if they're really doing it for to find it, or they're just doing it for the views. But
they're doing it for the money, which is the thing that angers me. It's like, let's just be intelligent. There's a way that you can find this thing. I do believe it. I just don't have the resources to do this.
There's a Bigfoot convention in Ohio. You can go to that one.
I'm afraid of being around the weirdos. Now, what I would do is I would put because these creatures know where things are. I would use balloons with thermal cameras.
Okay.
I would put balloons across areas where there's a lot of sightings and start tracking it through the thermal cameras on these balloons, because they will see something when it's down on the ground. But if you elevate it up in the air, there's probably less likely chance that they'll even care about it. And then maybe they'll be more careless.
Maybe, because I've heard people try to put those game cams out, right?
Oh, those things never work.
And they only catch deer. Or they do try to put their own cameras out, infrared or some GoPro, but it still doesn't pan out. Well, these are two fantastic stories. This is great. I think this is probably the most realistic story that we've heard from anyone, but besides Danny. She of a Bigfoot story. That's pretty cool. It's cool that you have that, and but it's also fascinating. You have a passion to even try to find it one day. So I've been told they'll
give it like an anonymous reveal of it, because I don't want people to say, "Oh, you're just trying to do it for the money." No, I want to find, just get rid of the mythology behind it.
Afraid to be around weirdos. You're in the wrong place, Jeff. Yeah. Depends on your definition of weird. So I had a fantastic. We went a little longer, folks, but it was well worth it. I do appreciate everyone who came by tonight. You came and went a couple times. It was great stories shared by Jeff. Jeff, I had a wonderful time hanging out with you. You are always welcome back. Now, so every now and then I do have like a group stream where we might talk about Bigfoot or other cryptos. So you're more than welcome to join us. I think you would be a fantastic addition to that. Would you like to share anything to the world out there? What you currently are doing or what you have coming up that to look out for? I guess you're on Twitch too. You're everywhere.
Yeah, I'm trying to be everywhere, and I'm failing at that. I take the shotgun approach, and unfortunately, I think I maybe overextended myself. Something my parents warned me about for many years, and lo and behold, I did it. But the most important thing I want people to know about is there is very much passion for me to try and make more like high quality content in terms of animation, stories, and I have been working on quite a few bigger projects. They're going to be announced through Twitch, through Instagram and Twitter. But I have been in the process of trying to prepare animations, but also some other projects, some bigger projects.
Okay.
And so if you want to know more about that, feel free to go over and check it out. And just
I think it's AlaskaJeff
on
on Instagram, right? That's your
Yep.
label, I believe, right?
Yep,
check it out
AlaskaManJeff,
there.
because AlaskaJeff was taken by some strange fella in Wyoming.
What is that? Okay, people, come on. Pick a show where you live. All right, everyone. Now again, but if you came in late, before I send you all off to bed, I want to remind you that I do have a new merch store over there on mixtees.com. So if you want to sport a cool Late Night with Cap tee, or if you want to even have a hat or a mug, I think that hat would look great on Beard of Liberty while he's out doing his yard. I think that would be fantastic, Beard, if you were able to do that for me. And you know what I forgot to do for you, Jeff, and I do apologize. Normally, when we just got into a very good conversation all the way through the show, I forgot to give you a cap dance. Yeah,
I feel like it's missing something right there. I think what you need to do is to get yourself a Captain America outfit and do the dance yourself.
If I hit 1,000 subs,
you're setting the bar too low. You know it's going to happen overnight.
100,000 subs. How about that? If I get to upper echelon of YouTube, maybe I'll do it. But yeah, I don't have an Instagram, so I can't share that one. It's okay, Beard. Thanks for helping out, though. We'll figure it out. Every time he signs up for Instagram, they block him. I'm not sure what that's all about. But again, it's great to see everyone. And then next week, I've got a really cool, another fun guest coming on. So look out for the announcements for that. But Jeff, man, it's been great. Like I said, you're always welcome to come back.
Well, thanks for having me. I much appreciate it. Thanks for reaching out.
Yeah, no problem. All right, everyone, have a good night and see you next time on Late Night with Cap. Later. And watch out for the Bigfoot and Orcas.